Good evening. Welcome to World News. I am Jessica Magaji Joseph. First, the headlines. Nigerian government alerts state on release of water from Cameroon Dam. UN officials on the line on uneven progress in digital transformation worldwide. North Korea fires short-range ballistic missiles second time in a week. And on sport, Nigeria-Egypt renew table tennis rivalry in Ethiopia. Now the news in detail. The Federal Ministry of Environment has deployed a team of experts to help mitigate the effect of the flooding that occurred in Borno State. Also, the government said the experts will carry out continuous water sampling and test and identify sources of hazardous chemicals and take proactive measures to prevent waterborne diseases. The flood, according to the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, was largely due to the overflow of water from the Alau Dam, located about 10 kilometers from Maiduguri city center, resulting from a massive inflow from the Ngada River, a major tributary of the river Yedzaram. In a statement on Wednesday, the Minister of Environment, Balarabe Lawal, noted that he led key officials of the ministry to pay a condolence and sympathy visit to the state last Friday towards mitigating the adverse effects that may occur as a result of the unfortunate flood incidents. He highlighted that the ministry has consequently deployed a team of experts from the Department of Pollution Control and Environmental Health, the Department of Erosion, Flood and Coastal Zone Management, the Department of Forestry, the Agroclimate Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscape Program Project, the Nigerian Climate Adaptation, Erosion and Watershed Project, the National Park Services and the Environmental Health Council to help in mitigating the effect of the flooding. The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has urged states along the Benue River to increase their vigilance. The call is coming following the ongoing plan by the management of the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon to open the dam for water to gush out. In a statement made available to journalists on Tuesday by NISA, signed by the Director General and the Chief Executive Officer, Umar Ibrahim Mohammed, he said the states likely to be affected by the flow of water from the dam are Adamawa, Taraba, Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Edo, Delta, Anambra, Bayelsa, Cross River, and Rivers. The agency also called on government at all levels to implement adequate preparedness measures to mitigate potential flooding that may result from rising river levels during this period. The release of water, the statement said, will begin at a rate of 100 cubic meters per second and is expected to gradually increase to 1,000 cubic meters per second over the next 7 days, depending on inflows from the upstream Garo River, the primary feeder of the reservoir and a significant contributor to the Benue River. NISA emphasized that there was no immediate cause for concern as significant flooding downstream in Nigeria was not anticipated, adding that current water levels along the Benue River remains within safe limits. The Nigerian police force says its operatives have arrested no fewer than 2,740 suspects for various crimes across the country in the past 1 month. Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi said in a statement on Tuesday night that the arrest followed the commitment by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Adeolu Ebetokun, who vowed to ensure that the perpetrators of heinous crimes in Nigeria were brought to the book. According to the statement, between August and September, operatives of the NPF arrested 295 armed robbery suspects, 186 kidnappers, 271 homicide suspects, and 71 suspects for the unlawful possession of firearms. Olumuyiwa also stated that 199 suspects were nabbed for sexual-related offenses, 143 suspects for cultism, and 1,575 suspects arrested for other crimes. He said the force also recovered 185 firearms, 487 ammunition for various calibers, and 111 vehicles, stating that about 129 kidnapped victims were also rescued. The statement added that in more recent events, the operatives also dismantled and arrested a gun-running syndicate operating in the Bauchi Plateau region. Troops of the Nigerian Army have neutralized 4 bandits and rescued 20 kidnapped persons in separate operations across Birnin-Gwari and Giwa local government areas of Kaduna State. Additionally, soldiers in Plateau State arrested 5 gun runners, including a female in the Jos North local government area of the state. The Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, in a statement on Tuesday, said troops of Operation Forest Sanity and Operation Well Punch conducted successful missions, resulting in the neutralization of the bandits and the rescue of the kidnapped victims. Arwan added that the first operation took place in Alawa, Birnungwari LGA, where troops of Operation Forest Sanity embarked on a special clearance operation. The troops set up a blocking force and sighted bandit movement around Kwaga, pursuing and neutralizing 2 bandits on the spot. Recovered items included 2 AK-47 rifles, 3 magazines, 3 motorcycles, and 1 Bofeng radio. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The United States military said it had completed the withdrawal of its troops and assets from Niger. Its pullout took place in phases starting in May after Niger's new leader scrapped a military cooperation deal with Washington. They seized power in a coup last year, and in recent months, Niamey has pulled away from its Western partners, turning instead to Russia for security. The withdrawal of the U.S. nearly 1,000 military personnel is seen as a major setback for Washington. Prior to the coup, Niamey had been a key partner in its battle against Islamist insurgents operating in the region. Together with France and other European countries, Washington had invested hundreds of millions of dollars in military assistance and training to Niger. The U.S. had handed over its last military bases to local authorities last month, but about 24 soldiers have remained, largely to oversee the withdrawal. After more than a year of fighting between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, the people of Sudan remain trapped in a cycle of displacement, lack of aid, and increasingly hunger. Stephen Dujarric, spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General on Monday, said escalating violence, particularly in the north of Darfur's capital, El Fasher, is of deep concern. Dujarric said the resident and humanitarian coordinator for Sudan, Clementine Kweta Salami, is calling on all parties to conflict to refrain from targeting the city and to protect civilians. This comes following reports of large-scale fighting there late last week. Also, initial reports indicate that healthcare facilities and displacement camps were impacted. The UN says thousands have died in the war, which has forced some 8 million people to flee their homes to safer areas in Sudan or to neighboring countries. The precarious conditions and lack of aid is pushing Sudan to the edge of famine, with food security situation the biggest concern for humanitarian agencies working in the country. We move to other parts of the world after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. North Korea fires short-range ballistic missiles second time in a week. North Korea fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles on Wednesday toward its east coast, South Korea and Japan said, days after Pyongyang unveiled a uranium enrichment facility and vowed to beef up its nuclear arsenal. The missile lifted off from Kacheon, north of the capital Pyongyang, at around 6:50 a.m. on Tuesday in the northeast direction and flew about 400 kilometers, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said, without specifying how many were fired and where they landed. He said that they strongly condemned North Korea's missile launch as a clear provocation that seriously threatens the peace and stability of the Korean peninsula. the GSS said in a statement, vowing an overwhelming response to any further provocations. About 30 minutes after its first missile notice, Japan's Coast Guard said North Korea had fired another ballistic missile. Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara said at least one of the missiles fell near the northeastern island coast and that the launches cannot be tolerated. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's office held a meeting to assess the security situation and told Pyongyang to halt all provocations, including its ongoing release of balloons carrying trash into the south. The Israeli military announced on Wednesday that 4 soldiers were killed during intense fighting in southern Gaza on Tuesday. Among the fallen was a female paramedic. 6 additional soldiers were wounded, with 3 critically injured. The fatalities are the latest in Israel's ongoing ground offensive in Gaza, which began on October 27th. According to official numbers, the military's death toll has now reached 348 since the operation commenced. The situation remains volatile, with frequent clashes between Israeli forces and militants in the densely populated Palestinian territory. A Ukrainian drone attack launched overnight, succeeding in destroying an ammunition depot in the western Russian region of Tver, a source from Ukraine's security service told newsmen on Wednesday. The Ukrainian drones targeted the Russian Defense Ministry-operated warehouse in Toropet, which was storing Iskander tactical missile systems, Tochka-U tactical missile systems, guided area bombs, and artillery ammunition, the source said. Large fires broke out from the debris of drones repelled by local air defenses, the regional government said, prompting the governor Igor Rudenya to order a partial evacuation of the area during the early hours of Wednesday's morning. Rudenya made a call to evacuate so emergency services at the scene could work fully to bring the blazes under control. Up next is business. Please stay with us. Welcome back. And on business news, federal government state LGs shared 1.2 trillion naira in August. FAAC, the Federal Accountant Allocation Committee, has said it disbursed 1.2 trillion naira earned as revenue in August 2024 to the federal government, state and local government councils in Nigeria. The revenue distribution was announced at the September 2024 FAAC meeting in Abuja. A statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations at the Office of Accountant General Federation, Bawa Mokwa, cited on Tuesday. The figure represents a decrease of 11% or 155 billion naira from 1.358 trillion naira distributed to the 3 tiers in July. A total sum of 1,203 trillion naira August 2024 Federation account revenue has been shared to the federal government, state and local government councils in the country. The statement read, the Office of the Accountant General Office said the revenue comprised statutory revenue of 186.636 billion naira, value-added tax revenue of 533.895 billion naira, electronic money transfer levy revenue of 15.2 billion naira, and exchange difference revenue of 468.25 billion naira. Bawa added that from the 1.203 trillion naira total distributable revenue, the federal government received a total sum of 374.93 billion naira and the state government received a total sum of 422.86 billion naira. Ghana's economy grew by 6.9% year-on-year in the second quarter of 2024, the fastest rate in 5 years, boosted by expansion in several key sectors, the country's statistics agency said on Wednesday. The strong growth represents a significant recovery for the producer of gold, oil and cocoa, which has been grappling with its worst economic crisis in a generation due to skyrocketing public debt. The 6.9 growth rate is highest since the second quarter of 2019, and it was driven largely by strong expansion in the extractive sector, just as we saw in the second quarter of 2019. Ghana's overall industry sector grew by 9.3%, driven by mining and quarrying, while the gold sector expanded for the third consecutive period by 23.6% in the quarter. The services sector grew 5.8%, while agriculture rose 5.4%. Cocoa sector is the world's second biggest producer, however, contracted for the fourth consecutive quarter by 26.2%, highlighting the impact of a steady decline in crop output due to disease and poor weather. The economic rebound is another boost to the West African state. As it restructures its debt, it has invited holders of roughly $13 billion of its international bonds to swap their holdings for new instruments after reaching a preliminary restructuring agreement with two bondholder groups. Brexit is having profound and ongoing stifling effect on goods trade between the United Kingdom and the European Union, according to a new report that adds to evidence of the economic damage wrought by Britain's exit from the world's largest trading bloc. Researchers estimated that between 2021 and 2023, annual UK exports of goods to the EU were 70% lower than they would have been had Brexit never happened. Exports in most sectors have decreased since 2021, according to the report. The study highlights that the negative impacts of Brexit have intensified over time, with 2023 showing more pronounced trade declines than previous years. Still to come, sports news. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Polka.
Thanks for staying with us. And on sports news, Endrick became Real Madrid's youngest Champions League goal scorer, while Kylian Mbappe also netted for the holders in a hard-fought home win over Stuttgart. At 18 years and 58 days, the Brazilian broke the record set by club legend Raul in 1995, who scored against Frecan Varos, aged 18 years and 113 days. The striker, who joined the club this summer from Palmeiras, had already become the youngest player to score on his La Liga debut for Madrid in the 21st century after coming off the bench against Real Valladolid. After replacing Jude Bellingham in the 80th minute at the Bernabeu Stadium, Endrick wrapped up the point with the last kick of the game. France towards Mbappe, who was making his debut in Europe's elite competition for Los Blancos, opened the scoring 20 seconds into the second half. Aurelian Tchouaméni's sweeping pass found the run of Rodrigo on the right, and the Brazilian unselfishly squared the ball for Mbappe to tap in. Roma have sacked manager Daniel De Rossi just 4 matches into the new Serie A season. Roma, who hired De Rossi to replace Jose Mourinho at the Stadio Olimpico in January, have been unable to win any of their Serie A matches this season, drawing 3 and losing at home to Empoli last month. Roma are currently 16th in the Serie A standings following the 1-1 draw at Genoa. A club statement read that the club's decision is taken in the interest of the team to be able to promptly resume the desired path at a time when the season is still at its beginning. De Rossi's tenure at Roma started superbly. In his first 11 league matches, Roma lost just once, picking up 26 points from a possible 33. That run took Roma from 9th to 5th in the table. They also reached the semi-finals of the Europa League, being knocked out by Bundesliga champions Bayer Leverkusen. And that's the sport news on World News. We move to the rest of the news after this break. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv.
Welcome back. Now to the rest of the news. UN officials underline uneven progress in digital transformation worldwide. UN officials have warned that as the digital world continues to transform, developing regions are at risk of being left behind. Although he hailed the progress made in digital government advances, the UN Assistant Secretary General for Economic Development, Navid Hanif, said there are still disparities between regions. UN officials released data on the world's top digital performance, with Denmark topping the list. Vincenzo Aquaro, chief of the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs Digital Government Branch, said that also among the 18 leading countries are Germany, Spain, and Saudi Arabia. The UN is calling for more support to developing nations, especially in Africa, to reduce digital inequalities. And that's world news, but before we go, here are the headlines again. We told you that Nigerian government alerts state on release of water from Cameroon Dam. UN officials underline uneven progress in digital transformation worldwide. North Korea fires short-range ballistic missiles second time in a week. And on sport, Nigeria-Egypt renew table tennis rivalry in Ethiopia. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hillstv Abuja, Instagram at Hillstv Abuja, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hillstv. I am Jessica Magaji Joseph. Thanks for watching.